All right, for this lesson, we are going to start talking about domain and range. So we're looking at part 1. We are focusing on discrete domain and range. So first, let's talk about what domain and range are. So domain is the set of the input or the x values of the relation. That's what's being put in. Range is your output or your y values. So it's what you get after you have put in your x values. Okay, so your y values depend on what your x values are. All right, and then some more vocabulary. We've got discrete versus continuous. Okay, a discrete relation is a set of unconnected ordered pairs. And when we have a discrete relation, we write our domain and range as a list. So that's what we're focusing on in part 1, writing a list of our domain and range. When you have a continuous relation, that's a set of connected ordered pairs, like a line segment or another continuous function, like a curve. When we have something like that, we write our domain and range as an inequality. All right, so let's look at some examples here. So on this first one, we've got a list of ordered pairs. So this is discrete. They are disconnected points, all right? If I put these on a graph, it would just be a scatter plot. And it says to identify the domain and range. So remember, we said that domain is your x's. Okay, so in a point, remember that x is the first letter of the point, or the first number of the point. So if we look at our x values, we have a -3, a -2, a 0, a 4, and a 6. So I'm going to put those in order from least to greatest, which it already looks like they are. And then if there are any repeats, I'm only going to write them once. And so I'm using my squiggly brackets to show that this is a set. And then I'll write -3, comma, -2, comma, 0, comma, 4, comma, 6. So that is my domain. My range is my y values. Okay. So that is the second number of each point. So I've got a 4, a 5, a -1, a 6, and a -3. Now, those y values were not put in order, so we've got to make sure we put them in order first. So out of those, my smallest is -3, and then there was a -1, and then a 4, a 5, and a 6. So I just put them in least to greatest order. So domain was x, range was y. So this is how we write it when we have a set of points. All right, now let's look at a mapping diagram. You should recognize these. You've seen them before. With a mapping diagram, the left side is your x values. That's your domain. The right side is your range, your y values. Okay. Now remember, with a mapping diagram, the arrows that go off of your domain are just telling you how many times that x value is being used. Okay, but when we write domain and range, we don't repeat x values or y values. So let's say I'm writing my domain. So that's going to be my x's. So if I look inside that box, my only x's are -4, 4, and 5. Once again, I want those in least to greatest order. And then looking at my range, once again, least to greatest order, I'm looking at the box that has my y's, -5, -4, -2, and 0. And then there's my range. All right, for a graph, so this is just a scatter plot. It's like what we were doing a second ago with the points. I just don't have all the points written out, okay? So there's a couple of different ways you can do this. When we are writing these in order, when I write my domain, my least to greatest for the domain is going to go from left to right, okay? That's least to greatest. So I usually just start with my furthest points to the left. So you can see this dot here is at -7, and then it goes down -6. And then there's also a point up above it that is also negative 7, but its second number is a positive 7. Now, for each x value and for each y value, we write it only one time. So even though I have two separate points that have negative 7 as the x value, I'm only going to write negative 7 one time. We do not repeat. Okay, that's the big rule for today. Do not repeat. So I'm only writing negative 7 once. So now I'm going to work my way over to the right. My next dot is here. It is at negative 4, comma 1. So negative 4 is my next number. Then moving over again, I have a point here at negative 3, comma 6. So my next point is a negative 3. And then I have one more point all the way over here at 5, 2. So my next x value is a 5. Okay, remember, x values, you use the x-axis, that's your left and right axis. Okay, so next we're going to do range. These are our y's. So for range, to go least to greatest on a graph, you're going from bottom to top. Okay, so starting with my lowest point down here, the y value is negative 6. So that's going to be my first number. And then I'm going to go up until I reach my next point, which is here, and that's a 1. And then I go up again to here, and that's a 2. Then I go up again, and I have a 6. Then I go up one more time, and I have a 7. And that is my range. All right, so that is domain and range of discrete relations. We just write a list of the x values and a list of the y values, making sure that we do not repeat within those lists.